3, 2, 1. Welcome to another Britflix.com podcast. My name is Stuart Wright, and today's guest is Derry Shillitto, writer and director of UK set near dystopia sci-fi horror film The Correction Unit. Welcome to the show.
Hey Stuart, thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, my absolute pleasure. Right then, we are going to talk about your feature film, and we're also going to be discussing 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life. Does that sound like what you've signed up for?
Yeah, it took a while to think of the 3 films, but I've got some good ones, and I could talk about The Correction Unit all day long, so hopefully some of it's interesting.
Okay then, well then, let's start with the easiest one then. Give me a brief synopsis for the listener as to what The Correction Unit is about.
Sure, yeah, Correction Unit is a sci-fi thriller, all shot in Nottingham, and it's about a group of young offenders that get put into an institution that is controlled by an AI, and the AI uses invasive technology to alter their criminal behaviors. And it's the easy way to describe it to get people on board is it's a Clockwork Orange for the Black Mirror generation, and that's a brief synopsis.
Okay. So then, tell people then, how can they watch the film?
Yeah, so very exciting for us that the film's been released on TVOD, on Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube, Rakuten in the US and in the UK.
Fantastic.
And the response so far has been, the response has been so good so far. We got great reviews, really positive response from audiences. And we're just building from the ground up. This is a micro budget film with quite, a big ambition. So we're just trying to get eyes on it. And we get reviews coming in weekly rather than all at once.
Of course, the very nature of the internet and the long tail.
That's it. It's a long job, this one, rather than a big launch.
Okay. Well, let me rewind the clock on you then. What was the kernel of the idea that kick-started you off on the journey to what we now see as the film, The Correction Unit, today?
Yeah, sure. So 4 years ago, I worked briefly at an alternative provision school. And then I realized that wasn't for me to teach. I ended up teaching film college. So I could teach film, but I couldn't teach anything other than that.
Okay.
So I taught at Confetti in Nottingham. And it was clear at the time, as lockdown was beginning, as AI was being spoken about, but not really as it is now.
Yeah.
It was clear that there's going to be a paradigm shift in education and in the treatment of young people and what they're exposed to.
Yeah.
So off the back of that, this guy called Leon Hady, who I've done a bunch of adverts for, he offered to actually fund a feature film. He said it would give a small fee to try and get a very low budget film made, and the only thing that he wanted was that it should be about AI and how it affects young people in education.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that was the beginning. Yeah, but I was never great at school, and I love knowledge and I love reading and learning things, but in an educational setting, I really, I hated it. I was a bad student. If I was at school now, I would have probably ended up at an alternative provision school.
Okay.
But back then, I think they're much more lenient. About 20 years ago when I was at school, and so this idea of making it about education was good, but I kind of wanted to. What engaged me more was making a story about how AI is going to affect the youth justice system and re-education. And so that's what the film's about. And we wanted to work closely with alternative provision schools in casting it. And, research in there as well. And it just grew from there, really. And it took about 2 years to write it, form an idea during lockdown, which, and AI kept developing day by day. So we had to constantly readdress the script and try and make it a bit more timeless or up to date. Because as you remember, like in 2020, 2021, like the news about AI was just constant, and and it's just developed, massively ever since.
Indeed. So while you're delving into this research and finding stuff out and falling over your feet to keep up with the developments, what were some of the storytelling challenges you encountered when pulling the script together?
Yeah, so that was the biggest one, and it's my first feature film that I've written and directed.
Okay,
that's actually been made. I mean, I've written a bunch of naff stuff in the past, but that's never been made and should never see the light of day. So we wanted to make it clear that the idea behind the film was what happens to the most vulnerable in society when the most powerful embrace AI. And I wanted to explore how these big tech companies, the Elon Musks of this world, how they pursue this progress and this control and this like technological advancement without considering the consequences of what happens to vulnerable people or people at the bottom of the pile. And for me, in Nottingham, young offenders, between the age of like 14 to 17, I see the most vulnerable people in our society, and I think they are being neglected. So, yeah, developing a script to have that idea and then stick to that idea, but also keep the AI that's used in the film up to date was really difficult. And eventually I came to this decision to not necessarily get bogged down in the actual tech that's being used, but more make it like this is, a timeless thing. It's about the feeling. It's about the people in control making decisions, and we see the consequences of those decisions. So it's not so much about the tech. And I think that was a big breakthrough in the writing of it when I realized I don't need to explain what AI could do, how it's going to improve education. Like you could read about that online. There's so much information out there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make something that was about a feeling, and that helps. And there was about 18 drafts of the script, and it changed dramatically from its original inception of like an Aaron Sorkin, like overly written, bogged down script. I mean, it wasn't as good as Aaron Sorkin. It was like me trying to write an Aaron Sorkin script.
I get you.
And that just didn't work. And by draft 7, I decided to strip it back, make it like a B movie, like a John Carpenter style 90-minute thriller with a really strong theme, really strong concept, but it doesn't get bogged down in that. It's just there to entertain. And, you go on with the ride. And then at the end, when the credits roll, it might leave you thinking. And that was so freeing when that sort of shift happened.
I imagine. So when your script's all signed off and everything, ready to go into production, were there any aspects of the shoot where you were unsure how you would achieve them, and what did you do to make them happen, succeed in terms of what you wanted to achieve?
Absolutely. So we went into production in August 2023, and we had a certain amount of money to shoot, but we didn't have all of the money we needed. We only shot 10 days with the money that we had.
Right.
And then we shot like the fancy stuff, the stuff that we could put into a trailer, the stuff that was big key scenes in the script. And then we cut together a trailer with that footage, and we sent it to a distributor who gave us an agreement off the back of the trailer.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I emailed them the trailer. The next day, they said, yep, sounds good. Finish the film. Here's a distribution agreement. It was mad. It was mad. Fortunately, we had Luke Radford, who produced the film with me. Yeah. He had dealings with the distributor in the past. So they had faith in what we were doing, what we're capable of doing.
Okay.
And the trailer was really good. It was a really solid, exciting minute teaser that, from their perspective at the time, in 2023, was really, really relevant and really sellable. And so we used the distribution agreement to get more money in from wherever we could, and that was good leverage. I mean, it took so long to get the money to finish the film.
Mm-hmm.
We had to shoot it in about 4 phases over 2 years, really.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a real monster, like 44 days spread over 2 years. And but the distribution agreement really helped. Like, you know, it was proof that we could show that this film is definitely going to have a platform. So if you do put money in, if you want to invest or if you want to help us out, it will be seen around the world. And that gave a lot of people reassurance when they were chipping in.
Tremendous. Now, then when you've done that sort of 2-year sort of protracted shoot, going into the edit, what new story discoveries did you make?
Oh yeah, it was throughout the shoot, we realised that because we street cast, just to go back to the shoot quickly, and then I'll come to the edit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Answer the question how you like.
Oh God, yeah, we street cast the young actors, and some of them were from alternative provision schools, some of them were from the college. There were dancers at the college, and then a few of them were actually from the TV workshop, which is, I don't know if you know it.
I do, yes. Nottingham Workshop, yeah.
Yeah, really well known. Vicky McClure went there, Jack O'Connell went there, Joe Dempsey, Bella Ramsey as well, obviously. Mm-hmm. They went there as well. And we cast a few actors through the TV workshop, and predominantly it was street cast. We realised as we were filming, the dialogue that I'd written needed to be adapted. So the actors from the alternative provisions basically adapted my dialogue. They made it much more up to date, much more like truthful to them.
Okay.
And I think it's really important when working with untrained actors that if they're playing a role, they need to play a role that is close to who they actually are. Because, you know, when an untrained actor tries to play someone that isn't within their nature, you can just see the amateurness in there. So we shape the characters around the young actors' personalities.
Yeah,
and that
changed
sense. The production.
Okay.
Yeah, it really worked. Really worked. The performances were so good. And like one in particular, one role played by Zach Hopkinson, his role got bigger in the film because he was just so good. And he just brought so much emotional, momentum to the film that we wrote him a few extra scenes and shaped some of the final act around his reactions to what's happening to Sean and Tish, the two leads. And so that was something that we shaped in production, which as we were going through the edit, we realized, these 3 actors, Sonny, Elise, and Zach in the central roles are so like emotionally engaging that we have to shape the edit around them.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I mean, Zach has now gone on to work with Shane Meadows on his latest film, and he will also be working with Samantha Morton in her latest film as well.
Fantastic.
He's someone to look out for, yeah. And he never considered acting up until we cast him in this film, and now he is pursuing it full time. So,
what an amazingly positive outcome.
I know it is amazing, and I feel proud by it, and I want more people to know about him because he's been through, he's done a lot in his life, and now he's turning it around. And I think, his friend just recently went to jail for shooting outside a co-op in the Meadows in Nottingham, and his friend was going to audition for the film as well. And it's just like, it's just amazing to see Zach. Like, he's now turned 18. He's sorted his life out, and he's such a professional, intelligent man. Like, it's crazy to see him go from this 15-year-old to like a scrappy 15-year-old who said inappropriate stuff all the time to now being like really mature and sophisticated. It's really good to see.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you for sharing some of that insight into the making of the correction unit. We will now move swiftly along 2, 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life.
Great.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
The rules are simple. Derry has given me 3 film titles. We'll do them in the order that he's supplied them. And every time we hear this sound, you can hear that at your end, okay?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Every time we hear that sound, that will be 5 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next film. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, sounds great to me, yeah.
Film choice number 1 is 1998's dark comedy, written and directed by Kirk Jones. Waking Ned is the story of a lottery winner dying of shock and how his fellow townfolk attempt to claim the money. Fun fact, the original title of the script was Waking Ned Divine. However, distributors insisted on changing it to Waking Ned, as they felt the shorter title was more user-friendly. American distributors, though, were the only ones to keep Divine. So tell me, why does Waking Ned have such an impact on you, and what are the memories it holds?
Yeah, it's a tough one when you asked me to think of 3 films, and I really thought about it. And there's loads of films that are amazingly well made that I love that I could watch over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, The Godfather Part 2, as much as I love it, didn't impact me as much as Waking Ned did.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, yeah, it's just, and I think the thing with me is it's who you watch these films with that really stays with me. And my dad is Irish. I'm from an Irish family, and I'm very proud of my Irish heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And when we watched this film, I was probably too young to watch it, maybe at 8 or 9 or something. But I just couldn't stop laughing. I was just laughing my head off from beginning to end. Some things I understood more than others. And it was just, some of it's quite screwball comedy, a naked guy who's in his late 60s riding down a motorbike to try and get to his friend's house so they can pretend that this dead body is still alive so they can win the lottery. I mean, it was just outrageous. But there's something about watching it with my dad and my family, and the community spirit of the film still gets to me. I watched it with my girlfriend who hadn't seen it before. I watched it with her not too long ago, and it really stands up. Like still now, it's just a really well written, nice community-led film, and it captures these small towns in Ireland so well. And it's just funny. It's funny, dark, and it doesn't shy away from like really, really dark stuff. Particularly, there's some bits in the final act which, when you watch now, you're like, "Wow, that's crazy that they actually did that." But,
in what sense? In how dark it went, or how funny it went?
Yeah. It goes really dark. Like there's one character who is an arsehole. Well, she just causes all kinds of trouble, but the consequences that happen to her are really kind of out there, and it's just very funny. Yeah,
do you want to give some examples? Do you want to give an example of where it seemingly crosses the line, but it works in the film?
Yeah, well, it's a spoiler.
I think we can spoil a film from '98. You're all right.
Sure, I agree. So there's one lady in the village who's going to grass on the community of pretending that Ned's still alive, because they're going to share the lottery winnings amongst the community. They just need to get him. They need to pretend that he's alive to do it. So she's going to snitch on him, runs to a phone box, and then one of the community prays that she doesn't snitch, and then a lorry reverses into the phone box and fires her off a cliff to her death. And it's just like these guys who are very religious in this small Irish town praying for the death of like an old biddy. It's just very dark, and I piss myself every time I see it. And it still kind of takes me by surprise. But as with all Irish films and Irish culture, which I love and which is ingrained in me, a lot of dark comedy and religion mixes so well. And we were all brought up religious, but now Ireland's gradually moving away from this sort of staunch Catholicism, and it's starting to be more secular and more open to new communities and new religions. And actually, there's, I think in the 80s, 97% of Ireland was Catholic, and now it's something like 12 practicing Catholic. So it's, it's to mock religion in a way is something I find quite funny, even though, there are elements of spirituality that I like, which Waking Ned captures. It captures both those very Irish things.
So in a sense, then it's like an archive of what Ireland was compared to what it is now.
It is, and also I think in the small towns now, there is an element of Waking Ned still there.
There's your first 5 minutes, sir.
Cool. I think I framed it all in.
I think you did. Right then, sir. For your second choice, we've got Ali. Michael Mann's
Ali, yeah.
2001 biopic about Muhammad Ali, starring Will Smith playing a career-defining role, I would hazard to say, and Oscar-winning performance to boot as the legendary boxer. Fun fact, though, there is a sliding door moment with this film, which is it's hard to imagine. Will Smith actually turned down the role, and he relented after Muhammad Ali called him and asked him to take the role because he was the only one good looking enough to play him, which I thought was a nice touch. Tell us, what is it about this film that has impact on you and lasts in the memory for you?
Yeah, I used to love Will Smith when I was younger. Who didn't? Obviously, he's tainted that whole thing with one crazy decision that he made. But I don't think he actually won the Oscar, but he was nominated. I think he should have. He should have won the Oscar for this. I think his performance is quite incredible. This is another one that it was about who I watched it with, and my best pal from school, and still my best mate, Andrew Olasehinde. Me and him really bonded on this. I watched it one day and I said to him, look, man, you need to watch this. Go home and watch it because it's just, there's something about it that really, really sits me. I think the opening 10 minutes is the best opening sequence in any film I've seen. I think this montage of Muhammad Ali doing a jog at night mixed with Sam Cooke performing Bring It On Home to Me at Harlem Square, really famous performance, mixed with Houdini meeting Muhammad Ali for the first time. And it's just such a brilliant, Michael Mann montage, which just thrusts you straight into the world that you're about to be in for the next 2 hours. And it just sets the tone just perfectly. I still watch that opening sequence on YouTube. There are definite problems with the film in terms of some people really didn't like some of the ultra HD camera work. But I just think it's really visceral. I think the boxing sequences in the ring are just so visceral and so well done that it's up there with any boxing film. I think, Raging Bull Ali had the best in-ring fight sequences, I think. And I'm a big fan of Muhammad Ali anyway. I mean,
sorry to interrupt, Derry, but for the layperson, what's the problem with the HD? And when you say HD, do you mean it's in HD video or HD?
Yep.
So what? In the same way that 28 Days Later is HD video.
So this is one of the really early films to use digital cameras over film.
Okay.
So and in the ring, you can see the behind the scenes. They're really great. The DP and Michael Mann himself are holding these GoPro-like cameras actually behind Will Smith's head as he's taking punches. So we're right on his shoulder, right up close. But because it's these sort of GoPro-like cameras, the frame rate is really high. I think they shot 60 frames per second. And it just has this feeling that it's almost documentary feeling.
Got you.
And then it mixed. So some people in other films, I don't like it when they use that technique, but in this, it just feels for me like we're really in the ring with Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, and George Foreman, and every punch feels like Will Smith actually took the punch, and I think he did actually.
I suppose in a way, in the past you wouldn't have able to, you'd have to have somebody, either a big rig which would have restricted the actor, or a cameraman trying to be Will Smith.
Yep, yep, that's it. And I think in the past, as much as I love like films like Rocky, I think the first Rocky is a masterpiece, but the fight scenes occasionally feel like they are a stage fight scene.
Yeah.
There's nothing about Ali that feels staged. It feels completely like real. And they even, because the fights that are depicted in Ali, it's the Rumble in the Jungle fights. They even like sort of imitated some of the actual sequences within the real fight. So you relive certain punches, and it's just done in a brilliant way. I'm not a massive fan of boxing, but I'm just a massive fan of like Michael Mann's. When he really commits to something, he's just one of the best directors there is.
There we go. Another 5 minutes are up, sir.
Perfect.
Yeah. Right then. For your final choice, we've got Sideways. This 2001 dark buddy comedy adapted to the big screen from Rex Pickett's novel by writer-director Alexander Payne is about two middle-aged men who embark on a week-long road trip through California's wine country, just as one of them is about to get married. Not so fun fact, the food that Miles, Jack and Miles' mother consumed during the dinner at Miles' mother's house gave all three actors food poisoning. So tell us, Derry, why does this film have such impact on you, and what are the memories it holds?
I didn't know that about the food poisoning, but that's good. This film is probably the one that has the most impact on my life. And I remember watching it at university, and there was something about it. On the first watch, I thought, oh, that was okay. But then I felt like this compulsion to immediately watch it again. So I played it again straight after watching it the first time. And I was like, no, this is, immediately after. And it was just like, okay, this is a really serious film. Like in terms of like the craft behind the script, the performances, everything about it is so layered and detailed and hilarious. And it benefits from numerous watches. I'll watch the film once a year without fail. And it probably, if I'm with mates or with other, like my girlfriend loves it as well. Some of my best mates love it as well because I've forced it upon them. And I think I'll watch it with them as often as I can.
Can you remember what the trigger was? Because obviously it's a rare thing to do with like even the film, with films is to watch it right straight after. Do you remember what the trigger was? How long into the film were you thinking, I'm not going to have to watch this again?
Yeah, as soon as it ended,
yeah,
I was like, I have to watch it again. I wasn't thinking it as it went on. Like as soon as it ended, I went, I have to watch this immediately again. I think that the structure of the film, is just perfect. Like it's just like, it begins with a knock on the door and it ends with a knock on the door, and so much has changed in that time. I know it's very tropey to like begin and end with the same thing, but there's something about the structure of Sideways that just gets me all the time, and it's so surprising as well. Like when you're watching a film and you go, "Oh man, that bit hasn't even happened yet. That's amazing." Like we've got this whole another 45 minutes of things that I know are going to happen, which is so brilliant. But it's already been such a good film, and I think it's just really funny, and also what I probably liked about it most, which says a lot about being a man, I think.
Yeah.
Both Miles and Jack are despicable, pathetic human beings.
Indeed.
They are like actually pathetic. But every man, I think, in the Western world has a bit of Miles, has a bit of Jack. Probably more. Some people have more Miles, which is Paul Giamatti's character, and some people have more Jack. But they exist in every man, which is really disappointing when women watch the film, because they must be like, no, this can't be true. But it is true. There's no way of escaping it. And I think the beautiful thing about it is they use wine as an analogy to capture this, this truth of life. And I like if you watch Sideways and you recognize elements of yourself in these characters, you should make sure you check it and just make sure that you are aware that it does exist within you. The Virginia Madsen and Sandra Oh, the two sort of supporting leads, are so good, and the way they interact with Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church it's just like perfect. The direction is just really well done. And I think all of them got nominated for an Oscar other than Paul Giamatti, which honestly shows that the Oscars mean jack shite, because Paul Giamatti's performance is the best. It's the best performance. It's up there with anything anyone's ever done. I think it's just genius.
If I remember rightly, his character doesn't he rob money off his mother? Is that a key scene?
Yeah,
I mean that is one of the greatest examples of like show don't tell. Like what you presume about this character at that moment is all bad, and you've not actually had it explained to you at all.
Yeah. I mean, he's late to pick up his mate to go on a stag do, and we see him wake up late because he's hungover, and we think he's going to rush out. But instead, it cuts to him going to the toilet, and then it cuts to him buying a spinach croissant from a calf on the way.
Finish your thought, go on.
And then he gets to pick up his mate at the stag do. And we just like, right, we know this schlub. Like he's a schlub. He's a perfect schlub. But he's very lovable by the end of the film.
Absolutely. Well, look, that brings us to the end of 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life. Thank you for sharing those memories. Let us remind people, how can they see The Correction Unit?
Yeah, so we'd really appreciate if you rented The Correction Unit on Amazon, Apple, or YouTube, or Rakuten. And it's just available on demand for now, and then it will go to streaming sites soon. But that is all dependent on how many people rent it, actually, because the industry as it is now, there's so much up in the air that streaming sites, they're not purchasing films that they used to. And even though Bella Ramsey is in the film, which is a massive draw.
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey's involvements, that they're an international star with a lot of fans. We're still struggling to get streaming sites to get involved in it. So if you do watch it, I'd love to hear from you. You can contact us on our Instagram, the Foil River Films Instagram page, or you can leave a letterbox review. But yeah, we really appreciate the support, and I think you will enjoy it. It's a 90-minute, thriller. You've seen it, haven't you, Stuart?
I have, yeah. I was at a packed house at the Broadway, Nottingham.
Yeah, and that went down really well. We sold out 3 cinema screenings at Broadway. That was great, and we had a lot of young people actually coming into Broadway for the first time to watch it, which was brilliant to see. Fantastic.
Well, thank you, and it just gives me then to say thank you very much for joining us on the Britflix podcast.
Thanks for having me, Stuart, and I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Do remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts for more movies that impacted your life. And if you want to, I'd love to know what your favourite movies are, what your fondest movie memories are. So please share your favourite movies that impacted your life on Twitter. Look for @LeightonRocks. And you can always leave me a review, 5-star preferably. And in your review, tell us which 3 films impacted your life. Best ones get read out on the podcast.
Hey there, Hugh from Podderation here. If you like today's show, then we think you will love Punch and Roll for Initiative, the other D&D show by a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors. Join a brand new show from the ground up with a cast full of professional voice talent as they make their own adventures in a custom-made fantasy world. If you want to hear more, check out our website at podderation.com.